You are tired. Tired of thinking about someone who has already left. Tired of feeling a tightness in your chest every time a memory appears out of nowhere. Tired of carrying a weight that is not yours, but which seems stuck to your skin. If you clicked on this video, I know exactly what is happening to you. There is a person, a situation, or a pattern that holds you emotionally. And as much as your head says move on, your body, your heart, and your energy simply do not obey. Today I am going to show you why this happens, and more importantly, how to cut this bond for good. I'm not talking about theory, beautiful philosophy, or self-help phrases. I am talking about a real, practical process that mixes what neuroscience has already proven with what spirituality has taught for millennia. If you stay until the end, you will understand something that perhaps no one has ever explained to you. Emotional dependency is not weakness. It is a mechanism, and every mechanism can be dismantled. Before continuing, I need to ask you a question, and I want you to answer truthfully, even if it is only to yourself. How many times, in the last 30 days, did you pick up your phone to check the profile of someone who hurt you? How many times did you reread old conversations, look at photos, wait for a message that never came? How many nights did you lose sleep ruminating over a situation that has already passed, but which feels like it is still happening inside you? If the answer is more times than I would like to admit, then this video was made to measure for you. And I ask one thing, stay with me. Because what comes now changes everything. Let us begin with the symptom. Because it is through the symptom that we realize something is wrong. Emotional dependency disguises itself. It does not arrive saying, "Hello, I am your emotional prison." It appears as longing, as concern, as that repetitive thought that assaults you in the middle of the workday, in the traffic of the marginal, in the supermarket line, at bedtime. You are there, living your day, and suddenly that person invades your mind. And along with the thought comes the feeling, a weight in the chest, an anxiety without apparent reason, a sadness that seems to live inside you. This has a name. Psychology calls it mental rumination. It is when the brain enters a cycle of repetitive thoughts about the same situation without reaching any resolution. It is like a scratched record that keeps playing the same song non-stop. Only this song is not beautiful, it hurts. And here comes the first point that few people understand. This cycle is not emotional, it is chemical. When you connect deeply with someone, whether in a romantic relationship, an intense friendship, or even a toxic family relationship, your brain releases a powerful combination of substances. Dopamine, oxytocin, and serotonin. These are the same neurotransmitters activated by addictive substances. I'm not exaggerating. Research from the University of Rutgers, led by anthropologist Helen Fisher, showed in magnetic resonance imaging that the brain of a person in love activates the same areas as the brain of someone in withdrawal from a substance. The same area. The reward system. So when you say, "I cannot stop thinking about this person," you are describing a real neurological process. Your brain is literally in withdrawal. It was conditioned to receive a dose of pleasure from that connection, and now that the connection has been cut or has become toxic, it keeps asking for more. That is why you feel that urgency to send a message. That is why you return to situations that you know do you harm. It is not a lack of willpower, it is biochemistry. Now, if it were only biochemistry, it would be simpler to solve. But there is a deeper layer, and this is where spirituality enters in a way that perfectly complements science. In Eastern traditions, especially in Hinduism and Buddhism, there is a concept called the energy cord. The idea is that when two people connect emotionally, they create an invisible channel of energy exchange between them. This cord does not disappear when the relationship ends. It remains active, draining your vital energy, keeping you linked to that person even when you no longer speak. Does it seem too esoteric? Think with me. Have you ever felt out of nowhere a deep sadness that was not yours? Have you ever dreamed of someone and the next day that person contacted you? Have you ever felt that your energy plummeted after thinking about a certain person? These phenomena are real. Quantum physics has already demonstrated that particles that have been in contact maintain a correlation even at enormous distances. It is called quantum entanglement. I am not saying that this directly explains emotional bonds, But I am saying that the idea that invisible connections exist is no longer fiction. It is a scientific frontier. But let us get to what matters. Why does this bond form so strongly? Why with some people can we detach naturally and with others it seems impossible? The answer lies in childhood wounds. And I know this phrase may sound cliché, but give me 2 more minutes before judging. British psychologist John Bowlby developed attachment theory in the 50s, and since then hundreds of studies have confirmed what he proposed. The way you bond emotionally in adult life is a direct reflection of the way you were cared for in the first years of life. If you had emotionally available, present and welcoming parents, you tend to develop what is called secure attachment. This means you can love without losing yourself in the other. You can feel longing without collapsing. You can end cycles with pain, yes, but without destruction. Now, if you grew up in an environment where affection was unstable, where love came with conditions, where you needed to behave in a certain way to receive attention, or if you experienced abandonment, emotional neglect, or were parentified, meaning you had to care for your parents emotionally when you were still a child, then you probably developed an insecure attachment pattern. And this pattern has variations. There is anxious attachment, which is that person who clings, who has a constant fear of being abandoned, who needs validation all the time. There is avoidant attachment, which is the person who flees from intimacy, who closes off, who seems not to care but is collapsing inside. And there is disorganized attachment, which is a mixture of the two, the person who sometimes clings and sometimes pushes away, living on an emotional roller coaster. Did you recognize any of these patterns in yourself? If you did, take a deep breath. There is nothing wrong with you. You are not broken. You were programmed by an environment that did not give you what you needed. And here it is worth a pause to talk about the Brazilian reality. We live in a country where the culture of family is everything often masks extremely dysfunctional emotional dynamics. How many times have you heard, "But she is your mother, you have to endure it," or "A father is a father no matter what he did"? We grow up in an environment where questioning family bonds is almost a sin, and this creates a dangerous trap. Because you learn from a very early age that maintaining the bond is more important than protecting your emotional health. You learn that being a good son, a good daughter, a good partner means enduring in silence. It means swallowing it. It means adapting to the other even when it destroys you inside. A survey by the Institute of Psychiatry at USP showed that more than 60% of Brazilian adults present some degree of insecure attachment. 60%. This means that most people around you, probably including you, carry bonding patterns that generate suffering. And the most impressive thing, most do not even know it. They think it is the way I am. They think it is personality. It is not. It is learning. And all learning can be replaced by new learning. The good news, the news that will change the course of this video now, is that programming can be rewritten. The human brain is plastic. It changes. It adapts. And it can learn new bonding patterns at any age. At 40, at 50, at 60. There is no expiration date for setting oneself free. If this content is making sense to you, if you are feeling that finally someone is putting into words what you live, then do the following. Press the like button now. This simple gesture helps this video reach other people who are going through the same thing as you. And if you are not yet subscribed to the channel, subscribe and activate the bell, because this type of deep content only reaches those who are connected. Now let us go to the part you were waiting for. How to truly cut these bonds. I'm going to give you a path in 5 stages. These are not random stages. Each of them acts on a different layer: mental, emotional, energetic, behavioral, and spiritual. Because emotional dependency is a multidimensional problem, and superficial solutions do not work. You have already tried superficial solutions. You tried to distract yourself. You tried to go out with other people. You tried to bury your head in work. You tried to repeat to yourself that you have already moved on. And it did not work. Because you were treating only one layer, now we are going to treat them all. First stage, name the bond. It seems simple, but it is transformative. Most people suffer from emotional dependency without even recognizing what they are feeling. They say, "I still like them," when in fact what they feel is fear of being alone. They say, "We had something special," when in fact what they had was a cycle of neediness and mutual validation. They say, "I worry about this person," when in fact they are addicted to the emotional chaos the relationship generated. Take a piece of paper. It can be the notepad on your phone, it can be a notebook, whatever you have, and write, "What I feel for this person is," and complete it with brutal honesty. Do not write what sounds beautiful, write the truth. What I feel is fear of not being loved. What I feel is anger for having been discarded. What I feel is shame for having accepted less than I deserved. When you name it, you take the feeling out of the shadows. Neuroscience calls this affective labeling. Studies at UCLA conducted by researcher Matthew Lieberman showed that the simple act of naming an emotion reduces activity in the amygdala, the part of the brain responsible for fear and stress reactions. In other words, when you say, "This that I feel is fear," the fear literally diminishes. It is like turning on the light in a dark room. Are the monsters still there? No, they were shadows. Second stage, identify the original wound. This stage is deeper and may hurt, but it is necessary. I want you to ask yourself, when was the first time I felt this? Not with this person, before them. When was the first time I felt fear of being abandoned? When was the first time I felt that I needed to nullify myself to be loved? When was the first time I learned that love came along with pain? In most cases, the answer will lead you to childhood. Perhaps to the father who left home. Perhaps to the mother who was physically present but emotionally absent. Perhaps to the environment where you learned that showing feeling was weakness. Perhaps to the school where you were rejected and decided unconsciously that you needed to be perfect to be accepted. The person who causes you emotional dependency today is not the cause. They are the trigger. They activated a wound that already existed, and as long as you do not treat the wound, you will continue to attract people and situations that reactivate it. It is like trying to dry the floor without closing the tap. Third stage, the energetic cut. Here spirituality enters with force. There are various traditions that teach rituals and practices for cutting energy cords. I am going to teach you one that is simple, powerful, and that you can do today in your home. Choose a moment when you are alone. It can be at night before sleeping. Sit comfortably, close your eyes, and take 3 deep breaths. Imagine the person with whom you want to cut the bond standing in front of you. Visualize a cord that connects you to them. It can be in the region of the chest, the stomach, the throat, wherever you feel it. Observe the color of this cord, the texture, the thickness. Now mentally say, "I recognize this connection. I honor what it taught me, but I choose to free myself now." Visualize a golden light, like a blade of light, cutting this cord. See the ends dissolving into light. Feel the space that opens in your body. Breathe into that space. This is not fantasy. It is a guided visualization technique, widely used in psychotherapy, especially in Jungian approaches and EMDR therapy. The brain does not completely differentiate a vividly imagined experience from a real experience. When you visualize the cut, you are creating new neural pathways. You are literally reprogramming your emotional response to that person. If this made sense to you, write in the comments, "I choose to free myself." I want to see how many people are ready to take this step. And if you know someone who needs to hear this, send this video to that person now. Sometimes the right link at the right moment changes a life. Fourth stage, rebuild your pleasure circuits. Remember I said that emotional dependency works like a biochemical addiction. Well then, it is not enough to cut the supply. You need to replace the source. When you remove a person who was your main source of dopamine, oxytocin, and serotonin, your brain panics. It does not know where it will get these substances from now, and that is where the relapse comes. You go back to messaging, back to stalking the profile, back to accepting crumbs of attention, because the brain prefers a toxic source of pleasure to no source at all. The solution is to create new sources, and I am not talking about distract yourself. I am talking about deliberately building activities that activate your reward system in a healthy way. Physical exercise is one of the most powerful. 30 minutes of walking already significantly alters your levels of endorphin and serotonin. Contact with nature. You know that park near your house that you never visit? Go. Take off your shoes. Step on the grass. It may seem like nonsense, but grounding, contact with the earth, reduces cortisol, and activates the parasympathetic nervous system. Science has already proven it. Healthy human connections, call that real friend. Not the co-worker, the friend, the one who listens to you without judging. The oxytocin released in a sincere conversation with someone who welcomes you is the same substance your brain sought in the toxic relationship, only this time without the poison included. Contemplative practices, meditation, prayer, therapeutic writing. 15 minutes a day of meditation is enough to begin remodeling the areas of the brain associated with emotional regulation. Studies at Harvard University, conducted by Sarah Lazar, showed that 8 weeks of mindfulness meditation increased the thickness of the prefrontal cortex and reduced the volume of the amygdala. Translating, more capacity for rational decision-making and less emotional reactivity. Exactly what you need. And there is one more thing that few people talk about: therapeutic writing. Take a notebook. It can be a simple notebook, one of those for 2 reais from the stationery store. Every night before sleeping, write. Write what you felt during the day. Write the memories that came. Write the anger you kept. Write the fear you hid. It does not need to be beautiful. It does not need to have logic. You do not need to show it to anyone. The act of putting on paper what is inside you has an effect proven by science. Psychologist James Pennebaker, from the University of Texas, demonstrated in more than 200 studies that expressive writing reduces symptoms of anxiety, depression, and even physical pain. When you write about a painful experience, you activate the prefrontal cortex and organize memories that were fragmented. It is like tidying up a messy room. The things are still there, but now each one is in its place. And when memories are organized, they lose the power to hijack you emotionally. I know it may seem like a lot. Exercise, nature, friends, meditation, writing. But you do not need to do everything at the same time. Choose one, just one, and start today. Tomorrow, if you want, add another. The important thing is to start building a life that works without that person at the center. Because as long as your life revolves around someone, you do not have a life. You have an orbit. And orbits are for satellites, not for human beings who are born to shine with their own light. 5th and final stage, the daily choice. This is the stage that separates those who truly free themselves from those who stay stuck in the cycle. Cutting an emotional bond is not an event. It is a practice. Every day, especially in the beginning, your brain will try to pull you back. It will throw memories onto your mental screen. It will idealize the person. It will make you forget the suffering and remember only the good moments. This has a name: positivity bias in memory. The brain, to protect you from pain, filters memories and presents you with an edited version of reality. It is as if it made a highlight reel, ignoring everything else. That is why you need to be conscious. Every day, when the thought comes, and it will come, you have a choice. Feed it or let it go. Follow the thought to the bottom of the pit, or recognize it, breathe, and redirect your attention. It is not repressing. Repressing is pushing it under the rug. It is recognizing and choosing where to place the energy. I see this thought. I recognize this longing. But I choose to invest my energy in myself. This, repeated day after day, week after week, creates a new pattern. Neuroplasticity guarantees this. The brain is moldable until the last day of life. Each time you choose not to feed the bond, you weaken the old neural pathway and strengthen the new one. It is like a trail in the woods. If you stop walking on it, the brush grows and it disappears. If you walk on a new path, it becomes clearer and clearer. And here I need to be direct with you about something that may be difficult to hear, but which is necessary. Part of the daily choice involves practical attitudes. You cannot say you want to cut the bond and at the same time follow the person on social media, keep looking at their stories, maintain the conversation on WhatsApp just out of politeness. This is like saying you want to stop eating sugar but keeping a box of chocolates in your desk drawer at work. The environment needs to collaborate with the decision. If necessary, silence, block, delete conversations. It is not childishness. It is emotional survival. It is protecting your mind from stimuli that reactivate the cycle. Each notification, each photo, each story is a stimulus that your brain interprets as a dose of that substance it is trying to quit. Remove the access. Clean the environment. And if you live in the same space, if you work together, if you have children in common, then the matter requires more strategy. The cut in this case is not physical, it is energetic and emotional. You can be in the same environment as the person and still keep the cord cut. How? Limiting interaction to the strictly necessary, not feeding arguments, not seeking approval, not falling for provocations. Treating them with respect, yes, but with emotional distance, like a professional interacting with a colleague, cordial, objective, without getting involved. In the beginning, it is difficult. The body will react, the chest will tighten, the urge to give in will be enormous. But each time you sustain your position, each time you choose not to react automatically, you are strengthening the new pattern. And with time, what was effort becomes nature. Now I want to tell you something that perhaps no one has told you yet. Cutting bonds is not about hate. It is not about erasing the person from your history. It is not about pretending nothing happened. It is about reclaiming possession of your energy. It is about stopping handing over your inner peace into the hands of those who do not know, do not want, or cannot care for it. There is an enormous difference between loving someone and being a hostage to someone. True love, that which spirituality in all its traditions celebrates, is free. It does not imprison. It does not diminish. It does not demand that you nullify yourself. If what you feel diminishes you, erases you, makes you doubt your value, it is not love. It is imprisonment disguised as affection, and you deserve more. You deserve to look in the mirror and like who you see there. You deserve to sleep in peace. You deserve to wake up wanting to live your day and not in fear of what you will feel. You deserve to build relationships where you are seen, heard, valued, and respected. Do you know what the most liberating truth of all is? You already have everything you need inside you. The strength, the wisdom, the capacity to start over. None of this depends on another person. It never did. You were only taught to believe it did. And it is time to unlearn that. I want you to do something now. Place your hand on your chest. Feel your heart beating. This heart that has already endured so much, that has already been broken and rebuilt itself, that has already cried in the dark and yet saw the dawn. This heart is living proof that you are stronger than any bond they tried to tie on you, and today, at this exact moment, you can choose to let go. In the coming days, you may feel an emptiness. This is normal. It is the space that remained after the bond was cut. Do not run to fill this space with another person, with another distraction, with another addiction. Stay with the emptiness. Because emptiness is not absence, it is space. Space for you to find yourself again, space for you to discover who you are outside of that pattern, space for the new to enter. Spirituality teaches that every end is a beginning in disguise. Science shows that the brain can reinvent itself at any stage of life. Join these two truths, and you have something extraordinary. The certainty that change is possible, not tomorrow. Now, in this instant in which you are listening to me. If this video touched you, if it brought clarity about something you have been feeling, I need to ask you one thing. Subscribe to the channel. Not for me, but for you. Because this is the type of content that will continue to appear to support you on this journey. Activate the bell so you do not miss any video, and leave your experience in the comments. Tell me, what was the most difficult bond you ever had to cut? Your story may be exactly what another person needs to read today to take courage. I believe in you. I believe you arrived here for a reason. Nothing is by chance. This video arrived in your life at the exact moment you needed it. Now the choice is yours. Continue carrying what does not belong to you or let go. Take a deep breath and begin the most beautiful chapter of your story. The decision is yours and it begins now.